Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is WowShane, and welcome back to Your Favorite Game, the show where we talk about your favorite game. Today's favorite game is Mega Man 9. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you're watching. Today, our guest is Cool Ranch. Cool Ranch wants to tell the wonderful people about your favorite game.
Howdy gamers, how's it hanging? My favorite game is Mega Man 9. If I was asked this question, like let's say 5 or more years ago, I'd probably tell you my favorite game would have been Mega Man 2. But over the years of replaying that game, I've come to not necessarily dislike it, but I've come to want more. And I remember one late at night, I got up earlier in the morning. And after a playthrough of Mega Man 2, I decided, let me try Mega Man 9 again. Prior to that night, I remember not really liking Mega Man 9. I might have even hated it. But after giving another try, I completely had a 180 on my thoughts of the game, and I've come to really enjoy it. And it's, probably my favorite game.
I had so many Mega Man games growing up, but I just never was good at them, so I never really played them. The only Mega Man games that I particularly enjoyed growing up were Legends 1 and 2.
Yeah, the Legends games, they're pretty great, actually. I think it was a couple years ago I played through the first Legends game. Actually, you were there for it, WowShane. And I had a lot of fun with it, and it's actually not my favorite Mega Man game, but it's probably like top 5, top 10 Mega Man games, honestly. Yeah, I just really like the characters and the world and all that stuff, and structurally it's like a Zelda game, and those are good too, so.
What about Mega Man 9 keeps bringing you back? What makes it your favorite game?
So, we got a doozy of an answer here. So to start, the thing that brings me back to any Mega Man game is basically the overall gameplay. I really enjoy, to explain how the gameplay works, Mega Man cannot aim up, down, or even diagonal for that matter. And so he has to line himself up horizontally with his enemies. And to kind of aim his shots, he has to kind of use his jump to do that. And sometimes, life doesn't really work as simple as that either, because enemies could be up higher than your maximum jump height. So you have to kind of use your, level design, or wait for enemies to come to you, or you can even use your special weapons to reach, out of reach enemies. And in addition, those special weapons can also make obstacles and other scenarios much easier for you. And on that kind of topic of that, you get weapons from the bosses you defeated. And so the whole game is kind of like you pick your own route through the game. You can make it as easy or as hard as you want. And another thing I really do like about overall the entire classic series is I kind of like the overall art direction, and especially 9's too, where it goes back to the 8-bit, where I know a lot of people don't like that, which I totally understand, but I do think there's like a lot of charm in these old sprites still. And there's just something really visually appealing about them, despite being like over 30 years old at this point. So what does 9 do in particular that makes me like it the most? What that is that the game, whenever I replay the game, there's always something to keep me interested. Like Mega Man 2, I know this might sound crazy to some, but it's too easy for me nowadays. It's kind of crazy to say that, but just Mega Man 2 is overall on the easier side, once you know what you're doing, that is. And Mega Man 9, even once you know what you're doing, there's still things that could potentially trip you up on repeated playthroughs. Usually, like, for example, in Jewel Man stage, there's some really tricky jumps, which a lot of people don't like this, but it keeps me interested on repeated playthroughs. And no matter what path you take to make the game as easy for you, or more convenient, or even hard for you as possible, no matter what path you take, there's always something to kind of keep you invested or interested in, or to kind of challenge you in some way, shape, or form. And another thing about the game I really do like is the overall flow of the levels. The levels can be cleared at a breakneck pace, constantly going and not really stopping. And the only instances the game really does stop you is to, even when you are stopped, you have something to keep your mind occupied. The only exception to this rule might be the second half of Splash Woman stage. But other than that, it's, I really like the overall flow of the stages. And despite the game also going back to the simplicity of, Mega Man 2, and including not only how mechanically, but in terms of the level design, it still manages to have really interesting level design gimmicks and ideas. And the Roadmaster fights are just fantastic. One example I always bring up is Splash Woman's fight. She not only tries, like when she goes up to the top of the screen to come and she rains down laser tridents on you, she not only tries to hover over to where you are to shoot at you, but she also bobs and weaves around you and shoots laser tridents around you in hopes that you're dumb enough to run into one of them on the way down. So, just little stuff like that makes it, like, as simple as the fights are, really, interesting and high octane and blood pumping. And the last thing I do really like about 9 itself is kind of a lot of the surprises the game has for you, which on one end, for a newcomer, they wouldn't like these very much. But like for example, you get to the Wily stages, there's Wily 2, the boss of Wily 2, I don't remember, I think it was Mecha Shark was their name. They have 3 phases, it's just crazy. And oh yeah, you like the Yellow Devil, right? Yeah, how about fighting 2 at the same time, it's just stuff like that. And even a lot of visual humor too, like in a Plugman stage where after you get past the last set of, well, not the last set, but the second to last set of Yoku blocks, or you probably know them as reappearing and disappearing blocks, you get chased by a megaman clone, one of those like gray megaman clones. You take the top path, and at the bottom path underneath you, it leads to a pair of spikes. And of course, the megaman clone is going to continuously follow you, and once you get to the end of that path, he's going to run into the spikes and die, and it's funny. I really do like that, and Inti Creates had a sense of humor. And actually on the topic of that too, and there's also in the Wily stages as well, there is one scene where you get to a screen, there's 3 1-ups for you, and at first you're like, oh nice, 3 1-ups. You get up to him and it's actually a Metal wearing a fake 1-up on its head instead of, wearing the hard hat they usually wear. And it's just funny, it's great. If you're someone who is really familiar with the series, it'll make you smile, honestly.
That was a lot, not gonna lie. A lot of it
Yeah,
went over my head.
I prepared. That was more than 3 points. I'm sorry.
You're all good. A lot of it went over my head, but I'm glad you love Mega Man. That's what I got out of it.
Yeah, you understood what I was saying, right? At least, like, you might have been like, "Oh, geez, that's a lot of information," but like, yeah, at least understood that, like,
for the
words
most part,
coming out of my mouth, at least.
Yeah, for the most part. How do you play Mega Man 9? Are you like a speedrunner? Do you do any kind of like challenge runs for the game or anything?
Mostly casual, actually. The game does have a challenge menu where the game tries to, like, beat a boss in, 20 seconds or less, or was it 10 seconds or less? I'm not sure. Or the game tries to encourage you to beat the game under a certain time, or beat the game without dying, or using a continue, or even as far as to beat the game without being hit, which is just ridiculous. I don't think very many people have done that, but the select few that did, it's crazy to see that they were able to do it. So I'd say mostly casual, but I do try to encourage myself to use like less E-tanks on repeated playthroughs and try to die less and so on and so forth. I am familiar with the speedrun. I have actually watched quite a few Mega Man 9 speedruns. In terms of actually doing it, no, I'm not that good.
What is something you would add to Mega Man 9?
Ooh, honestly, I'm not really sure. But there would be a couple changes I would make. For starters, the game has a shop, which was kind of made to make the game more accessible to like newcomers and even returning players. It's kind of a nice thing to have too, where you can grab a couple extra E-tanks or a couple extra lives. Spike. I think they're called shock absorbers. If I'm not mistaken. Or you can, the Book of Hairstyles, which makes the game harder if you want. But the bolt drop, which is a good idea, but the bolt drop rate is really abysmal. Like, I think a small bolt is only worth 1, and like maybe a big one's worth 10, I think. I'm not fully sure. I don't pay attention to that. But what the problem is that like the stuff in the shop, or like an E-tank is like worth 30. And with the small bolt drop rates, it's kind of hard to get. Like, once you beat all the stages, for example, on my last playthrough, I was only able to buy like 2 E-tanks and 1 M-tank before the Wily stages. So I feel like, a newcomer would prefer to have, more. And second thing too, Mega Man 10 9 sequel added the ability to swap your special weapons with the left and right triggers on like a PS3 controller. I mean, on the Wii version, actually, well, I mean, it wouldn't work as well. Use A and B. It's not as intuitive, really. But if they were able to implement that, that would have been nice. Especially as I mentioned, the flow of the levels are really good. That would really increase the flow of the levels and make it a lot more enjoyable for more people. Although for me, I use the pause a lot anyways to select my weapon, so I'm just used to it. But it would have been a nice feature to have in this game.
And what is something you would remove from Mega Man 9?
This was another tough question. Actually, I wasn't really fully I prepared for this, but I was like, there's not really much I would remove. Yeah, honestly, there isn't really anything I would remove from the game in particular. At least I can't think of anything. Again, there are things I would change for sure, but not really anything I'd remove.
What are your favorite and least favorite parts about Mega Man 9?
Okay, my favorite part, I'd actually say the overall, once you get to the final gauntlet of Wily stage, the set of every Mega Man game at the end has a gauntlet where you go through all the Wily stages, and you have to do these in consecutive order. But if you have to quit the game, you got to start back from the beginning of the first stage. This is actually my favorite part of the game, just for the challenges it offers you and the fact that you have all your special weapons available to you. It's a matter of using your weapons to get through. And having really challenging bosses that make full use of your moves, your tool set, and there's even weapon resource management too, which is really interesting to have in a platformer. All the Mega Man games do this, but I think 9 does it really well, especially because of just the stuff you see in these stages. And I would also even say, the challenges they even ask for you is kind of interesting too. I see a lot of people complain about Wily 2 specifically, where you got these really, really tight jumps underwater. You probably know the section if you've played the game. The game is actually asking you to see how far Mega Man can hang off a ledge before actually falling, and which is over half of the sprite can kind of be off the ledge, which if you keep that in mind, it becomes a lot easier, and it's the game just testing you on that. And even Wily 3 has a really cool moment where you're kind of in an anti-gravity chamber slowly going up, and you kind of use your buster shots to move left and right. And it's a really cool stage gimmick, and I really liked it. And as I mentioned before, the boss fights were crazy. Again, the Mecha Shark in Wily 2, just a nuts boss fight. The Twin Devils, and even the final boss is really cool, with the egg bouncing and the 3 phases, which I think they went a little too far with that, actually. At least for the 3rd phase, I would say. And I'd say which is funny, because the Wily stages are my favorite part. But I'd say the final boss fight is technically my least favorite, because just for I think they just went too far with the final boss. I think they should have put that 3rd phase on a separate stage, so if you game over, you can at least just do that 3rd phase, have to do the entire fight all over again, or maybe even give the player an emergency M tank or E tank hidden in the stage in case something goes wrong. It's doable for sure, but it's yeah, a really difficult point in the game, actually. Even for me, honestly. I don't really have too many issues with it now, but there's still that fear in the back of my mind thinking, I don't want to be using my M tank here and then potentially having to face fighting him without it on another attempt.
For the next question, you can choose to answer just part of it if you wish, or both parts of it. What is your second favorite game, and or what game is most comparable to Mega Man 9?
So, I know you said your second favorite game, game, not plural, but I couldn't really help myself. I'll probably use this time to shout out other Mega Man games that were really close to being my favorite, or kind of in the top, my favorites overall. So I'd say Mega Man 10 is up there as well. Mega Man 10 is basically a sequel to 9. It does have more advanced level design, and the weapons aren't as good, honestly, but you can play as base as well this time. And in addition, they also buffed Proto Man. I don't really touch upon Proto Man. Proto Man was DLC for 9. He got the charge shot and slide. The game wasn't designed around it anyways, so he was kind of a weird addition because he took double damage and double knockback. Since they're using the special weapons for the most part, you're kind of not really using the charge shot, so he's kind of a weird addition. But in 10, they buffed him. Still kind of weak, but hey, at least he doesn't take the double knockback anymore. And the music, the music in every single Mega Man game is great, right? 10 is just phenomenal. Like it makes you levitate. It's that crazy. I really like it. And also Mega Man 8 is up there as well. That's like the kind of game I play when I need to relax. That's like a Mega Man game you play to relax. Just the watercolor kind of aesthetic it goes for in the gameplay, and the 90s anime cutscenes with like the terrible voice acting. It's a really relaxing game to play. And Mega Man 11 is up there as well with just it's like a natural evolution of Mega Man's gameplay. Just great stuff, I think. And getting outside the classic series, Mega Man X, the first game is great. Really like that one. And as I mentioned, as I might have mentioned before, Mega Man Legends is another really good one. Enjoy that one. And now getting outside of Mega Man games, probably my actual favorite second game, getting rid of all Mega Man games entirely. This is a tough question because I'm always indecisive about this type of stuff, but I would say probably Castlevania Symphony of the Night would be my second favorite game. I just like the overall gameplay and how many ways you can play through the game, and even the soap opera story, which is really cheesy, but it's fun. It's entertaining nonetheless. And the music's great too. Yeah.
So for the footage that's about to be shown on screen for everyone watching on YouTube, you're about to see a lot of deaths and game overs. Because I'm not good at Mega Man. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm good at Mega Man. So I'm not really going to have an opinion for this game. Because I feel it would be unfair for me to have an opinion at this game, because I tried multiple levels and I couldn't make it anywhere in the levels. So I barely experienced any of this game. What I will say is that the 9th game in this franchise is very unwelcoming to newcomers. Me being a newcomer, I did not feel welcome by this game. It is very hard. It's easy to tell where to go, because you just run around and you go where the game tells you to go, but the enemies are accurate if they need to be accurate. And like Cool Ranch was saying earlier, you need to be horizontal to the enemy in order to shoot the enemy. And I feel like for at least the stages I tried, that was very detrimental for me to make any progress. I will say the music is a bop, so good. And as I said earlier, I'm more of a Mega Man Legends kind of guy. I loved Legends 1, but even that was super hard. Because I remember as a kid, I got to the final boss, and I was so trash at it that I just never beat it. And then Legends 2, I didn't make any real progress in. I got to the end of the first cave system, couldn't beat that boss, and just never came back. I mean, the Mega Man games, you know what you're getting yourself into. If you've ever seen a Mega Man game, you know what a Mega Man game is going to be like going into it. And it is just crazy difficult unless you've played them 1,000 times, and probably even better if you played them growing up. But the Mega Man franchise isn't really for someone like me. And that's not a bad thing. I totally respect and appreciate what Mega Man is as a franchise and as a character. But once again, just not for me.
If you ever want to try getting into the Mega Man games again yourself, a great starting point for the classic series, in my opinion, would be Mega Man 5. That one, you have the charge shot and the slide, so it has really interesting level design, and the visuals are just phenomenal for an NES game. I would also say that the game is also very forgiving, especially because it was released on the NES. It's crazy to say an NES game is forgiving, but because the 1-up drop rate is really high, so you'll be swimming in lives. It's crazy. And in addition, with the charge shot being, now the Mega Buster, like you have pretty much a powerful weapon right from the get-go that is actually better than most of the weapons in the game. So that's a game I do recommend if you do want to try again and getting into the Mega Man series. That's a great place to start. Mega Man 2 is another good place to start. I recommend 5 more, honestly. 2 on normal. Another game, 10 I can recommend too, because 10 has an easy mode. I think it makes the game trivial, actually, but it's worth trying out. And but maybe the classic series isn't for you, and I totally understand that. Yeah, one I can recommend for sure is the first Mega Man X game. It has Metroidvania elements. You're constantly finding upgrades in the levels, getting stronger, and the level design isn't really too advanced. There's some interesting ideas here and there to keep you occupied, but the game mostly focuses on the flow of the stages and just how it feels to play to get through. And the game also just feels really cool. It's great. I will say, I did because I was going off earlier, I did kind of forget a few things. My personal favorite way to play Mega Man 9 is on the Wii version. I think the game is just perfect for this controller because you play it with a sideways Wii remote, like so. Which is because you move left, you move right, you climb up, it's inverted. You climb up ladders, you jump and you shoot. It's just perfect for this controller. And it was designed with the Wii in mind. And I do also prefer the Wii version soundtrack. I know, like, you probably listen to, like, the PS3 version or Xbox version. And then the Wii version, like, there's no difference. But I can't really explain it because I don't really know much about music. But Mega Man 9, the percussion, it feels a bit crunchier on the Wii, and there's a bit of an echo with some of the I'm not sure what you call it, the tracks, like for example Splash Woman and Steam, or actually no, a better one I can describe is a Tornado Man's theme, where it's like da 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 da. There's a bit of an echo, and I do really think it adds a lot to the song that I feel like was kind of lost. The PS3 version I think still had that, but the Xbox 360 version, which was also the version used for the Legacy Collection, kind of dropped that. And in addition to the Legacy Collection 2 version of Mega Man 9, it's probably the easiest way to play it, so that's probably what I recommend. But it does have improper pixel scaling, where you may have noticed it if you played the Legacy Collection of WowShane, but you may have noticed your health bar, like the little notches in your health bar, were kind of different sizes, some of them. If not, I totally understand. I'm a huge nerd, so I notice this stuff. I see it and I can't unsee it. It bothers me,
All right, Cool Ranch, tell the wonderful people where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube. I always go by the name Cool Ranch with a W. Not on YouTube. YouTube is actually Cool Ranch with an R. I prefer the R, but that is what it is.
Alright, everyone, make sure you go drop Cool Ranch a follow on all socials. Cool Ranch, thank you so much for being a guest. Greatly appreciate you.
I'm glad to be here, man. Thank you for the opportunity. It was really fun to talk your ear off this whole time, and hope it makes for a good episode.
If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you follow the podcast and rate us 5 stars. Thank you all so much for being here, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.